Welcome to episode 383 of the Game Deflators podcast. My name is John, and I am joined by Ryan.
Hey, everybody here at the Game Deflators podcast. We like to talk about games. We've recently picked up games we're currently playing, and we teach you to ignore pain in this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
So we're playing a little bit of Rambo on the NES this week. Ryan, what else are we talking about?
So Xbox Live for Nothing or Die for Something. Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond are out. Asha Sharma's in, and some think this is the beginning of the end. Then fighting games have lost the battle. This is what it'll take to win the war. And we head out to the jungle for this week's Rambo in the Inflation Deflation Challenge.
So we'll get into it a little bit. But of course, you can find us on thegamedeflators.com. You can also find us on YouTube if you're watching. Thank you for watching. Go ahead and hit the little bell. Let us know in the comments if you like our stuff or if you hate it. I guess, bad engagement's good engagement for us, right? Like our shorts. That's always good too. You can also find us on social media at the Game Deflators and at Game Deflators on your favorite social channels. And we are a podcast first and foremost. So go ahead and listen to us. If you listen to us, thank you. Leave a 5-star review. All right.
Woo.
That's all, I think. All right. So pickups. I didn't have any gaming pickups.
I laughed when I read this.
Yeah. But I did pick up a picture with Christopher Mintz, who plays McLovin in Superbad. And that was kind of cool.
Did you give him our card?
No, I didn't have any cards on me. I don't carry cards to like healthcare conventions. What was I going to do?
You met that gamer there.
Which gamer?
The one that was going to hook all the old people up.
Dude, she wasn't a gamer. She's maybe she is. I don't know. She was actually big into. She gave me some really good sushi recommendations, actually. So I don't know. Maybe she was. So yeah, I was in the line at TSA, and of course, I waiting for my bags. LA is like notoriously slow, by the way. I don't know what it is, but they have this process at LAX, at least in the American Airlines terminal, where you load up a bag. They have like 3 lines, right? You load up your bag in pre-check, and then you put in the tote. It gets pushed one, you put in another bag, and then you got to wait, right? And so like each bag, like one will go, and then it'll kind of go to another one. They all push forward, and you got to load. It's the slowest process. It's a pain in the ass. So either way, I'm standing there, get that done. I'm hanging out, I'm waiting, and I just kind of look at a corner of my eye, and I see the face. I'm like, huh, that guy looks super familiar. Wonder who that is. And then he starts talking. I'm like, oh, no fucking way. Well, that's McLovin.
I know that voice.
I'm like, I know it. I know exactly who that is. And I'm like, I don't remember his name though. And I'm like, I want to approach him and just like ask him, but I don't want to be like, hey, McLovin, because that's not cool.
I know.
Like,
as soon as you messaged me, I was like, oh, did you talk to him? And you were like, no, I just got the picture. I was like, you're a perfect gentleman.
Yeah, I mean, I could have theoretically, like, he was the guy he was with, I think, is a drummer for the band he's in. And
okay.
so I don't know what was going on with that, but I overheard like, oh yeah, I'm going on world tour or something. Like, oh, okay, interesting. I'm like, so clearly this is definitely him, because he wouldn't be hanging out with somebody saying I'm going on a world tour for music. And so I Googled really quick. I'm like, what's his name? Because I don't want to approach him and be like, hey,
Yeah.
are you McLovin? Because that's just kind of screwy. To
Yeah.
say like you only reckon, and he was in like Kick Ass and stuff like that, and he's had other roles. So
Yeah.
that's obviously his most notable one, I guess you would say. Even though
He's going to get
Kick-Ass-
McLovin his whole life, but not from you, John. You're
not
a real
not from
stand-up
me.
guy.
I was really nice about it, right? And so I tapped him on the shoulder or on the elbow, and we were going up the escalator. I'm like, hey, are you, Christopher? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, do you mind if I said, it's nice to meet you. And he's like, oh, it's good to meet you as well. As we're going up, I'm like, oh, can I get a quick photo? Before I even finish, like, can I get a quick photo? He's like, yeah, no problem, man. So we go up, he does a peace sign, do a quick photo, and we depart, right? But it was still kind of cool. I'm like, of all the celebrities I could have met in LA,
That's
I met him. That's a cool one. Like, it's a really cool one. So I was having a pretty shitty week, so that like completely made it for me. Like just that little interaction. So that was cool. So hopefully, my sister brought up, she's like, given like, where he's at in his career now, he probably doesn't get like pulled out at random for photos and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. His face, like, he's very different. Like, he looks very different, obviously, in what he did 19 years ago.
When he was like 15 or whatever.
Well, he's our age, actually. So he's 36. So,
okay.
Yeah, he's not that much older than me.
So he would have been like 16 or 17 when that movie came out.
He was 17, I think, when it came out. somewhere around that. So like you know how most people they kind of as they age they still kind of look like
Yeah,
in a
you always
sense what
look
they
like
were.
you, but you
Yeah,
definitely mix it up.
he doesn't. Like he doesn't look like that character. So like unless you
Mhm.
kept up with him in his career, you wouldn't have been able to pull him out of a crowd, right? So I don't know if that's a blessing in disguise for him or
Well,
not.
you heard him too.
I heard his
You said.
voice in that immediately, and then but it was funny is like he was with his buddy, he was laughing, and so he had this facial expression, and I was like, oh, that's definitely it.
Yeah.
Like I recognized the facial expression. So that was pretty cool. But it was really nice interaction. So he was nice. Oh, and what I was gonna say is the thing that my sister said, like since he probably doesn't get pulled out so often like that, it probably not that it felt good or anything, but like it probably felt
It's less
nice to not.
annoying.
Yeah, it probably felt nice to not be called like McLovin as well, right? So I think that's just something for people to kind of think about as well whenever they potentially approach somebody like that for a photo. Like, don't go
Don't
calling them
call them
by.
their character name.
Yeah,
They're real
exactly.
people, some
They're
of
real
them.
people. So
Some
it
of
was
them are
cool.
vampires,
Yeah, but
but
he
yeah.
made my week. That was fun. So yeah. So that was my one pickup. And then so I will carry that one forever. As far as what I'm currently playing, still playing Plucky Squire. Before I head out for my trip, my wife and I were playing a little bit of that. So I don't remember where we ended up when we last played because it's been almost a week. But we progressed maybe an hour or so. So there was that. I haven't mentioned this a couple weeks. I did finally finish Record of Ragnarok, the first 3 seasons. So it was pretty good. So again, highly recommend that one. But then I just started up Freerin, I think is what it's
Free
called.
Rinse, super
Freerin.
good. People
Yeah.
love
So
that. I've
yeah.
watched,
So
I think, the first 3 episodes.
yeah, I've watched the first 4 episodes so far. Um, I'm not sure if it's really like an actiony type of RPG. It seems more like as of right now,
Anime,
right? Or sorry, anime. I'm thinking RPG because the setting of it is very much an RPG
like
type
an
of setting.
isekai.
Yeah, it starts with like a party of travelers that defeated a demon lord basically and entrapped another demon lord of sword or demon king. They killed the demon king. And it picks up from like these adventurers and then it's an elf and then her human companion is a dwarf. So I think RPG because of, D&D, of course. Um and so yeah, it's I don't know if it's like a super actiony anime right now from my experience. It's more so been Frieren is going across like the land trying to make up for things that she might have missed in her life with her friends. And it has a lot of flashbacks and memories and things like that. So it's more of like an emotional story so far. But she does have a companion with her. I forget the girl's name right off the bat 'cause I've only seen a few episodes as of yesterday. But basically, she's training up another mage who is a human mage. And uh, that's pretty much where I'm at right now. Like they're just kind of traveling
That's, like,
around. Like,
right where I was, like, an
yeah,
episode after her and the girl, like, left after she finished her training or whatever, I think.
yeah. I finished when they got into a town, and it was I think the girl's birthday, and so I think that's episode 4. I started episode 5 last night, but I was falling asleep on the couch, so I had to cut it off. Given the travel and everything else, I was just getting wiped out. So that's that. I am gonna hopefully continue Valkyrie profile here this week as well, and start moving forward on that one and getting some decent progress in it. My goal is to finish that one before April, I think, so within the next month, so I could start up something else.
Okay.
So we'll see how that goes. And then I have not. It's the 26th marathon just got released today on our recording.
Did it?
Not released, but it's the server slam, whatever. Uh,
Oh, like,
yeah.
they're
So
testing?
yeah, I've been reading few different reviews of people on Twitter so far. It seems like I think some people are hating it to hate it, but at the same time, some of them feel like legit reviews. So there's a few people who are saying like, "Hey, it's nothing special. I don't like the graphics are great, but the gameplay is not that great. There's way too many weapons. There's way too many items." I kind of look at it like it's still a server slam, right? They're still kind of testing things or making sure things are okay. Uh, but at the same time, so far, the reviews on day one are not so hot. So I guess we'll see how the server slam progresses over the next few days, um, and whether or not it dwindles in terms of people actually being on. So as of today, I think it had 115 or 116,000 concurrent players, and it's not the weekend yet. So it'll be interesting to see what it is tomorrow, and then how it progresses on Saturday and Sunday as well. But the general consensus that I've seen is people saying like it's not worth $40. But I think we're also in a period of time where there's so much like live service titles or so many live service titles that are free that people just go, okay, cool. I can play Apex Legends for free. Why would I spend, $40 to play a marathon?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I mean, it's so pivotal. Like, unfortunately, I think that it's gonna get an audience. It's not gonna be a big audience, but at the end of the day, I think this is gonna bury Bungie. Like, I think after how much Sony spent on them and after how much they just haven't really been able to pay off, and earn their keep. I just don't think this is it. I don't think it's gonna last. And I think it's gonna spell the end of another big company.
yeah, I do kind of agree with that. And we talked about it last week too. If this flops, that's the next, studio to close is clearly going to be Bungie.
Yeah.
What was the initial investment? Like $6 billion, I think it was, to like buy
No, I
Bungie.
think it was like 2.5.
Gotcha. So not in the grand scheme of things for Sony, probably not a huge investment. Probably low risk, high
Pretty big.
reward. Well, yeah, but I think
2.6 is what it was.
yeah, but compared to some of the other studios that could have picked up, I think it was for them low risk, high reward potentially. Um, when you think about it
I
in the
mean,
grand scheme of
Destiny
things.
2 was like firing on all cylinders when they were making that purchase and
Yeah,
gearing up towards the end, which didn't really hit so hard.
yeah. So I guess we'll see what happens with this. I don't think it'll go as bad as High Guard. High Guard last I checked, by the way, on
Yeah.
Steam. High Guard last I checked on Steam was like under 500 players concurrently.
Yeah,
That
that's High Guard's gonna be on its way out soon.
Yeah, and they're still releasing stuff, but and some people are saying, well, hey, the Sony numbers and Xbox numbers, like those aren't out there. You can't just go based off PC. Yeah, you kind of can. PC has the largest install base, and if you're only hitting like 500 to 250 concurrent players on PC, probably not that great on the consoles. And the other thing I keep hearing is, well, I can get connected really quickly on there. Like my matches start up fast. Okay, cool. Maybe that's just the servers are fast, right? Like you could theoretically have 150 people playing online or 1,000 people playing online and not play with the same people more than one time in a span of several hours. I've also played games like Apex Legends where I've been paired up with the same people multiple times in a row before as well. Not like because they're part of my group, but we got paired up in like the same type of matchup several times in a row.
Well, and eventually once you start like putting, ranks together and like aligning people by skill and stuff, like you narrow and narrow and narrow down those brackets until it's like when you go online with a fighting game and you'd be waiting 5 minutes to get a match because there's only like three people online that suck as much as you do.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see long term. Actually, probably short term on High Guard, and then maybe longer term on what the verdict is on Marathon. I am gonna
Mm.
try. I am gonna try and give it a shot. Isn't it free right now for the server slam?
But yeah, I can't imagine you'd have to buy into the beta to.
Yeah, I haven't messed with it, but yeah, I'll maybe look into. Well, I don't know if I have to pay for like PlayStation Plus. I guess is what I mean.
I mean, PlayStation Plus is needed for most online games.
Well, it wasn't needed for High Guard. It's not needed for Apex Legends. So we were able to play. I don't have PlayStation Plus. We were able to play High Guard, no problem.
Okay.
So I'll check it out. But you might need PlayStation Plus, unfortunately. So if I jump on there, I'll check it out. Otherwise, maybe I'll try it on Steam and just hook up a controller that way and play. See how it goes.
Required for the Marathon Server Slam.
Okay, cool. so I'll give it a shot. All right. How about yourself?
All right. So this week I don't have anything to show as a pickup. I think last week I told my Milia keychain story where I ordered this keychain, but I switched my main and I could have gotten like a buy two get one if I had waited a few days.
Yeah.
So I needed to get something else to represent my new main Eno. And Guilty Gear, I guess at some point had a card game. So I actually found like a pretty sweet like alt art, like full art Eno card on TCG Player for less than $2. So I ordered that. So I've got this phone case that has like a card slot on the back. So I'll put that in there. I'll
Yeah,
show that off whenever it arrives.
but you have a whole fight stick that you can put it in there,
Well, I'm
can't
gonna
you?
deck that out eventually, but that's gonna take time to figure out how I want to lay that out and stuff.
Well, I'm glad you got a
Looking
card.
online, some people's are so amazing.
Nice. I'm glad you got a card, though. I thought you were going to say you bought a guitar.
A guitar, right? I know. No, I've bought a bass before and just let it sit there. Like there's no reason for me to buy another instrument that I'm not gonna use. Been there, done that. So yeah, not much pick up this week. Playing though. I did play some more Guilty Gear. I made it all the way to Iron 3 at one point, and then I got my ass handed to me a bunch and went back down to Iron 2, and I've been kind of bouncing around in there a little bit, but I definitely feel like I'm getting better. I definitely feel like my defensive game is starting to improve a lot. So now I really just need to kind of work on focusing on like what's going on and trying to be more reactive and not just so relentlessly aggressive. So that's kind of this triangle of thinking where it's like do nothing, let the other guy come at you, and then try to like stop them coming at you by like hitting a button that's gonna, hit them as they're running in or like anti-airing them or whatever. So you got to be kind of like prepared for that, or like being aggressive, or like doing like footsies. So there's like a few different kind of like game states, and I need to be more balanced in my approach and try to do some more planning. So I think that will just continue to get better over time.
Each time you say footsies, I get very, very confused. All right. Let's continue with your fighting game story.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll just keep getting better as I work on my fundamentals, and I'll keep you updated. But yeah, I'm not made much progress yet. And then I did play some more Dragon Quest 11. I escaped the dungeons with Eric, and we made it out. We're fugitives on the run, and right now we're trying to go back to, well, actually we've come back to like the outer kind of town of the castle where we originally went to and then got arrested and thrown in the jail of. And we're trying to recover an item that Eric and his buddy had previously stolen. So he like buried it in some pile of rubbish, and apparently his partner ended up making off with it and now is doing really well and living all hoity-toity in the inner city in the good part of town. So I am currently looking for his shop somewhere so that we can see what he did and I guess try to get some money out of him or something. I don't really remember. I've definitely played much further than this before. I think I had unlocked like 3 more characters already where I was playing previously. So I'm only a couple hours in at this point, but I have gone 10.11 miles so far playing this game. So keeping it up, and it's going to keep motivating me. I'm going to try to figure out, like, I was trying to think, like, if I did at least 2 hours a week, then that would get me done, hopefully by the end of the year. But I did start in February, so I might have to play a little bit more than 2 hours a week to get there by the end of the year. I'll do some math and figure it out.
What was your
But
final total that you're thinking you're going to get for miles walked?
so it's like 100-hour game. So if I'm doing roughly like 3 miles an hour, then I'll do roughly 300 miles.
Should be good.
So,
Wait,
yeah.
3 miles an hour, 100 hours. Yeah, okay. 300 miles. I don't know. I was doing the math like differently. I was somehow calculating in my head that it was going to be 300 hours,
Yeah.
which is quite
That would
possible.
be
It is quite
that'd be
possible.
900 miles,
That would be. That'd be kind of cool.
right?
Be
I
like,
know.
hey,
I completed Dragon Quest on the treadmill.
that's probably what it would be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's really all the playing I've been doing. So, but hey, you know what? Today, when you're watching this, it's February 26th. We don't have Resident Evil yet, but it comes out tomorrow. So, definitely going to be picking that up. Definitely going to be playing that this weekend. And I'm sure you're going to see everybody talking about it all next week. We're going to talk about it actually a little bit here too. But by the
Yes.
time you're hearing me talk about it, take solace in the fact that I am actively or have actively been enjoying the game.
Well, you may have actually already beaten it by the time that people hear this. So apparently, some guy has already beat Resident Evil Requiem in 2.5 hours, and it's been beaten 9 times as well.
Yeah.
This
That's
comes from this comes to us from a random picture I saw on the internet. So take it with a grain of salt. Uh, so
I mean,
it's
I
probably
would believe it. Like Resident Evil speedrunning is like a really popular category. I mean, those games are short. I think it's only like a 10-hour game is what I've heard people say. But I mean,
yeah.
they're meant to be replayed. They're meant to
Well,
be speedrun.
and I mean, it says that they beat it 9 times, and one of the runs was 2.5 hours. So I don't
Pretty
know if
good.
that could be the last run. It could be like second to last. Somebody trying to speed run it. So yeah, there's that. And in keeping up the Resident Evil theme here, apparently Metacritic removed an AI generated review from a gaming review company that recently fired most of its staff and then replaced them all with AI. And like
Yeah.
the
It was a Video Gamer, a video game news site owned by Clickout Media.
so the one giveaway they said is when they were looking up I think it was a meta tag or yeah, it might have been a meta tag for the images that were used on the website for like the different authors. It was labeled as like ChatGPT generated. So it was a dead giveaway, but it was some sort of like AI generated image. Now, that said, you theoretically could put a headshot in a ChatGPT and say, clean this up for me. And it's going to spit it out with a meta tag of ChatGPT when you save that. So I could see that being, you know, something that maybe could have occurred, but it's also kind of a dead giveaway when you fire your staff and then replace them all with AI. So Metacritic went ahead and removed that particular review. It's gone. And then they've put out a warning that any other publications that do something like that, where they submit AI generated content and they're caught, they will no longer have a relationship with Metacritic moving forward. So that is their
Wow.
warning.
Bringing down the
Yeah.
ban hammer.
Yeah. And I think we're going to see that a lot moving forward. I was just having a conversation with a coworker yesterday on this, in that if you kind of think about schools, for example, and the way that they handle essentially AI plagiarized content, when people are just like create it and then do nothing with it. It's one thing to use AI to generate copy or generate an article and then put some human touch on it, go in, make sure it's got keywords, kind of rework things, remove certain commas, kind of space things out differently, put some hands on it. It's one thing to do that. It's another thing to just take the straight copy paste, and you're done. You think you're finished, right? So the thing that, with what they're doing in schools, I can see that going into the workplace, and you kind of see it here, right? A company saying, hey, we're not going to accept that type of content. I could see it happening for publications down the road, for online. I could see it happening for like Google when it comes to prioritizing human written content for page rankings and such versus AI generated content. Um, so I do see this being a thing um, for years to come, right? Where different organizations are putting a ban on some AI stuff, making people actually work. So we'll see. But that's about it for fast news. It was quite
Fast
fast,
news.
quite fast. All right. First thing that we have here outside of fast news is Microsoft's gaming CEO has resigned, and they've put their former AI team head in charge. This comes to us from AV Club. Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond are out. They've brought in Asha Sharma, who's been with the organization since 2024. The big red flag that people have had with this is, well, she has no video game experience, right, in the industry. That might be a
Of
good
course
thing.
not. She's the AI person.
Yeah. But
What
that might
need
be
of video game has she?
but that might be a good thing. I mean, if you kind of look back since the 360, what has Microsoft done? They've spent billions of dollars. They've brought in, Activision Blizzard. They got Bethesda, or Zen, whatever it's called, the main parent studio. They've put all of their exclusives on other consoles and PC. Everything's now on Xbox, and Xbox console sales have been pretty bad, right? So I think when you kind of look at it in that regard, the gaming people that have been there for years haven't been getting it done right. Try somebody else, somebody with a fresh opinion, fresh views on it, who can maybe take Xbox back to its glory days of really the 360 being its glory days, right? So I like the move, to be honest. Why bring in somebody else who's been in the game industry when you can bring in a fresh perspective? And so,
I mean,
yeah,
it's just that I don't think a lot of people have a lot of faith in Xbox at this time, and bringing in somebody who doesn't really, I don't know, meet the expectations and desires of gamers. Like, I feel like I always like Phil Spencer. Whenever I saw him show up in a presentation, I was like, "Hey, there's Phil. He's doing good. I like that." Sarah Bond, I don't know. I've probably seen her in a bunch of stuff, but I don't really have as much of a positive remembrance of her just because I like Phil Spencer, I guess. So I think that, you know, where was I going? A bunch of these kind of people don't really have gaming backgrounds. Um, and then they get kind of thrust into the industry and like Doug Bowser, his last name was Bowser. That's got to be one of the reasons that he got hired by Nintendo. I mean, I'm sure that he had a great business record and had a fresh outsider perspective, but if his last name wasn't Bowser, like, I don't know, he didn't leave a whole big impression on everybody during his tenure there. And I mean, nothing went wrong really while he was around. So he's kind of just, you know, memorable for his last name and forgettable for everything else. So like if she comes in and does a role like that where it's like she doesn't screw everything up and everything kind of like flatlines out and just kind of is fine, maybe she can be in and out without making big waves, but I have a feeling that it's probably going to be more of one of those like, hey, I'm here from the AI and I promise that we're not going to just turn all of this into AI. And I think they'll keep saying that as long as they need to, not legally be lying to the shareholders about it. And then at some point, just let AI steamroll over and take over every industry because it's like at that point it won't matter if they're in charge of gaming or they're in charge of this division or that division because they're going to hand it all over to AI to do.
yeah. I mean, she's kind of come in and said we're going to try and take Xbox back to where it was. She's also mentioned that she doesn't want this to be like an AI slop shop when it comes to producing content. So those are kind of bold promises, given where AI is at this time. But if Microsoft can kind of take that mantle and change for the better the gaming industry, so you don't have a ton of AI taking jobs and handing it back to actual creators. And if you do have AI, allowing them to kind of utilize it for things that are going to make their job a little better, but really keeping the actual people working. If they can do that, I think that's also going to spin a positive light on the company. And it's going to draw more gamers in as well, if it could stay true to that. So as companies are moving into more AI generated type of content and laying people off, if Microsoft's coming and say, no, we're taking the exact opposite approach, we're putting a human touch on it, that's going to actually catch people's eyes and their goodwill and bring them into game. So you do kind of have that. She does understand AI, right? So I think that she can help them in that respect. Um, and just, I kind of look at it too from a sense of even like my own career. when it comes to doing things in marketing. I could go into marketing for gaming, I can go into marketing for consumer, for video games, whatever it may be. But the perception is that if you're in one industry that that's what you're good at, right? Like no, marketing is marketing, right? And I think that for her, if she's been leading a business unit and she understands business and process, she should theoretically be able to go
Yeah,
into something
no,
else
but
and move forward.
the the process is completely different. So like games is like a creative, artistic, like she's going to be the intermediary between the rest of Microsoft that's like, hey, we want all the money and we want to control everything and we want AI everywhere. Like that's what 97% of Microsoft is doing. And then she's this little plug between that and all the publishers that are like real like artists and people with jobs like in a creative field trying to make games. And she's coming from the industry where they were just like, hey, how can we steal everything, not give anyone credit, and then turn it into something we can take credit for? Like, she's going from that side of things to being responsible for all of these creatives. And I just think that, like, that's not who I would want as my boss coming in. And I don't think that
Yeah.
she's really going to be like, you know how people have this idea that like, oh, if something bad happens to me at work, I go to HR and they're supposed to like be the person who like helps me to deal with the company because the company is like a big machine that like doesn't respect me or care about me or anything. I need a somebody to fight for me against my own company. And I just don't think that she's really going to do that for anybody. She's going to like crack the whip the way that Microsoft, tells her to crack the whip on these studios. And people are going to get like, even when people who fought for them were around, they had to close award winning studios. Like, this isn't going to make that any better.
I think a big part of it's that Microsoft lost a lot of goodwill. And I do think it's still a good move though, because she's seen the perspective of AI and where AI can be beneficial, but also understand deeply where AI can kind of ruin things. So I do think her coming in would be an opportunity for them to kind of have a nice balance between the utilization of AI generated pieces and work and those developers to be able to get the most out of them, right? Maybe
I
reducing
just don't
burnout.
get like why AI's been around for like 5 years. Like, these people don't really have a long career history of actually, you know, doing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, look, I use it daily. To be honest, I use it for most of my work, and I'm encouraged to use it actually for my work. And it's
Just
not
like
to
how
try.
doctors used to tell people to smoke.
Now doctors use AI actually to take notes and
Tell
stuff,
people to
but
smoke.
yeah, to tell people to smoke. Yeah, no, I'm gonna give her the benefit of a doubt here. I think that there's going to be some positive that comes out of this from Microsoft if they spin it or not spin it, but do it the right way. Um, I think time will tell, of course, right? It could be a year from now and we hear Microsoft lays off staff to do, you know, to bring in AI to develop video games. If you
See,
do that, I think you're going to piss people off. You're going to take them away from wanting to support Xbox at that point.
I I don't think it matters. Like, at some point, Microsoft owns all the IP, and once AI is good enough, that's all you need. Like, once you own the IP, like, you're not necessarily using AI in a way where it's like, oh, you can't copyright this AI image because it's a blend of everything. Like, if you own all the IP that the AI is making, like, that's the end of it. Like, you're just the only place that's ever going to make that stuff again.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. If consumers are going to vote with their wallets, and it gets out that Microsoft has laid off tons of staff and are just going to be using AI for those IPs, there's going to be a lot of people out there that are just say, okay, I don't ever have to play that type of game again. I have no interest in playing an AI generated game. And they're going to go and swarm towards indie developers, right? And indie games that are being published. Now, granted, indie developers are probably using AI in some respect too, but I see that trending in a more positive direction towards indie studios and developers who are putting their content on things like Steam than people wanting to support a Microsoft or a large organization that's using AI and firing tons of people, right? So I do think Microsoft is going to have to kind of play it the right way if they want to take Xbox back to its glory days. And I don't think that involves firing a bunch of people and just creating AI slop. I think that does involve utilizing
I
AI.
mean, it does if you could tell AI to just make a good Halo game and a new Gears of War that people want to play, and it's like, oh,
All is
there's the glory
forgiven.
days of the Xbox 360.
Praise our robot overlords. All is forgiven. New
Mhm.
Halo. Yeah, we'll see, man. I think we'll see.
Well,
Yeah.
we should have probably pivoted to this next one a little bit sooner because we kind of talked a lot of that through too.
Uh, kind of. So Xbox is being sunsetted is what Seamus Blackley, who is one of the original creators of the Xbox, thinks is going to happen here with, you know, Asha Sharma coming in to Microsoft. So I think it's doom and gloom. I think that when you look at what she's wanting to do and what she has stated up to this point, to go back to glory days, to not put out an AI slop shop, I think that they're trying to be a competitor to Sony, and you got to do it the right way. So he's basically saying like, this is it. They're going to sunset it. They're going to go through this little shakeup with AI, and then they're going to just kind of kill it after that. If you're planning on doing that, then why would you even hire in her to try and fix the division? Why would you open up new roles
Because that
in
that job
Xbox?
needs to be filled.
But they have trillions of dollars. They could just cut it right now and be like, we're done with Xbox. We're going
But
to liquidate.
it doesn't like I don't think that they want to just like stop. Like I think it's, hey, we've got so many irons in the fire. Like they're probably developing like 20 games. So all of those are in various stages of production. They're employing like, you know, I don't know, tens of thousands of people to do all of that. So it's not like a decision that they're just going to make overnight. Like it is going to take, like he's saying in the article, palliative care. Like they're just going to release games, and as games come out, those studios will close, and we'll just get a clearer and clearer picture as things wind down of like where they're really going to keep investing and where they're really going to keep, you know, churning out things. Because like Elder Scrolls 6, like everybody wants Elder Scrolls 6, but that's still going to be like 4 fucking years away. So
Yeah,
like
but
they
here's the
need
thing.
to keep working on it.
Or they sell the investments and offload it on Sony or some other company. Like if they want to get out of gaming, why not just sell a Bethesda? Why
Because
not
owning
sell?
the IP is going to be worth it in the future. Like once you don't have to pay people to develop the IP anymore and you own the IP, like it doesn't matter if you laid everybody off. You can still make all the games and all the money.
And that goes back to the assumption that if everything is AI generated, consumers are actually going to fly with that and buy that product, right?
I mean, people will for the IP. Like that's the thing. Like at the end of the day, when Marvel decides that, all comics are just going to be made by AI, like people are just going to be like, well, I guess the 50 years I spent with Wolverine are over.
I mean, there's a lot of comics out there. So hypothetically, they could, right? I think consumers will vote with their wallet. I'm interested. Like, if anybody out there is listening or watching this as a short, you as a consumer, would you purchase video games knowing that they've laid off staff to go 100% AI generated content for video game? Like, would you
Well, no,
just, even if you like the IP, would
you
you
might
still
not,
buy it?
but somebody born, 2 years ago that by the time they're old enough to like play games doesn't really care about human productivity anymore. Like that's the future buying power. Like we are not the future buying power.
I would argue that if somebody born 2 years ago, their future buying power isn't occurring for another like 15 years.
Yeah, but they're
So,
going to be like the bulk of the people engaging with like AI games because we're not. Because our generation is going to nope out of that. So they're not going to sell that to us.
yeah, but our generation is going to be around for another
Yeah, but like you said, we've got
60,
all the
70
old games.
years.
We're just going to keep trading copies of Mario back and forth, and they're going to go up $1 every year until you can't afford it anymore.
Or it gets to a point where indie studios are creating great games and it's all
I
by
mean, that'll
people,
keep happening,
you
but
know?
like, we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Unfortunately,
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's an AI bubble, man. I think a lot of this is gonna, you know, it's gonna blow up. There's so many small companies out there that are AI specific, outside of the big ones, right? Like your Claude and your ChatGPT and Google and Microsoft and Nvidia, like all of the investments happening on that end. I think a lot of that type of stuff stays, but the small companies that are reaping the benefits of the I think that's going to cause like a major issue in the market. We're going to see a big AI bubble at some point. I don't think AI is going away. I just think we're going to run into a
Yeah.
pretty good shitstorm here pretty soon because of it. All right, not much else to say on that, but I am really curious to see if people would openly like not purchase Elder Scrolls 6 or like GTA 6 or something if they knew it was
I don't
AI
think so,
developed.
man. Like people like outside of AI, like for a million other reasons, people have like, we're gonna boycott this game. Never happens. Never works. It
Sometimes it
never does
does.
anything. It never moves the needle.
High Guard isn't doing anything.
Yeah, but everybody wasn't like, we're gonna boycott High Guard because they did this, this, and this. No, people just saw High Guard and they were like, wow, this kind of looks like it sucks. Except for me, I was the only person who was like, that looks cool. I
No,
like the horses.
you and about 250 other people, roughly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Well, no, I played it and stopped, so I'm not with them. Don't
Yeah,
lump me in with them.
that's true. That's true. Don't you liked it, you thought it was cool, but you kind of were like, all right, it's not
It
cool
looked cool
anymore.
until I had to play, and I was like, why am I farming crystals for a minute and then that's it? Like there's no other opportunity in this game where I'm going to farm crystals. I get this 1 minute to farm crystals, and there's only like 5 here.
And I'll ride my horse very quickly to go farm the
Yes.
next set of crystals and then sell to this random man who will trade me crystals for shields and guns.
Yeah, actually, you know
Yeah.
what? Riding the horse in Dragon Quest 11 reminds me of the horse in High Guard because it's so
It's
funny.
probably it's a better horse though.
It's a better horse.
It's a better horse.
All
Yeah.
right.
All
Anyways,
right.
on to the article that I chose this week. So this is actually from a couple of weeks ago, originally published on the 13th and then revised for the 19th. This is from cthor.me, which is like a like blog kind of space where this guy writes all this stuff about different games, a lot of it being fighting games. Um, I've been obviously immersing myself in the fighting game YouTube space, trying to watch up all kinds of tips and Guilty Gear stuff. And, I've always really liked fighting game content online. I love any kind of like stuff about game theory or like, how the mentality of different games is. I love learning about that kind of stuff. So I've watched some people in the past, and then I've started watching new people, and I heard a couple people talk about this article, and I was like, oh, this is pretty recent. So I figured I would bring it up here because this is the place where I could talk about stuff.
So it looked like less of an article and more so an academic journal writing of some sort. You
Yeah.
ever,
So
you know?
yeah, this is kind of in line with that. So basically, this is fighting games have a product design problem. So in this article, he kind of lays out his argument for why fighting games really aren't as successful as they could be, and ultimately relying on the fact that the controls or like the mechanics of the game, like that's not what is holding back the genre as a whole. Because like obviously from an outside perspective looking in, like fighting games look super cool, but they're known for being very difficult because it's like you got to hit like a lot of buttons really quick in a certain order to do what you want to do. And having to play difficult games like Dark Souls, people play Dark Souls. Like there's difficult stuff that people do. So it's not that nobody will play difficult games. A lot of it comes down to the product itself is what he's saying. So most fighting games don't really have like a good story. They don't really have like a lot of good options for you to be able to practice. Like in Strive, you have to go into the dojo, and yeah, there's always that like dummy that you can like beat up on, and you can make them do attacks. You can record like a motion for them to do and then kind of work against them repeating that over and over again. But it would be way better if like the game actually taught you how to play the game. Like if you actually went in and did a story mode and the story mode had like I think the example was, you know, a guy jumping in at you and you've got to do like anti-air to defend yourself. Like there are like tutorials in single player like training mode where it'll put you in a sequence where you have to do that, but it might only be with one character, and it might just be, like, in a menu that you go in and it's like, "Alright, here's, like, the crouch tutorial. Crouch 5 times, go back to a loading screen, you know, pick the next one, jump 5 times, you know, load in, jump 5 times, load out." Like, it would be way better if it was more immersive, if it was more, like, along the lines of teaching you and being more organic like other games are, so
Recall Tekken 4. I think it was Tekken 4 or Tekken 5, one of the two, but that was one where you could load up a character and you could practice certain moves, and you can also have this the CPU actually do the same moves as well, and it would show you what was happening, and it would have the buttons on screen so you could practice a lot of those like deep end moves and like chains of attacks. So I do recall that being a pretty immersive experience years ago when I was playing pretty heavily in fighting games. God, probably like 15 years ago now I think about it. Um, but yeah, that or longer. I think about it even more because this PS2 era. So yeah, that to me was a very immersive experience. So I don't remember a ton of fighting games doing exactly that type of approach. Like most of them in your training mode, you can practice certain moves, but none of them or not all of them will actually like go through the motions with you, right?
Mhm.
You just have to kind of practice pressing that button and kind of get used to it. Whereas some games will actually fight against you or will practice the move so you can see it and then just kind of give you that sequence of timing and rhythm. So
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a really big article, like, there's a whole lot in here, but, if you're somebody like me who's just kind of starting to want to get into fighting games, or if you're somebody who has played, some fighting games, this is a pretty good read, there's a lot in here, so you could also do what I did and kind of find some people online who are talking about it, but it's interesting to see how, you know, different people think about the genres and how a genre as popular as fighting games, but is also so niche, like really has a lot of struggles outside of just what what the game itself is about at its core and more those like experiences that make it a whole product. Like one thing that I kind of don't like about the Guilty Gear Strive is that there is a story mode, but it's just like a 4-hour cutscene. There's no like being the characters and like fighting other people. It's just a big cutscene. So you don't really get some of that engagement. Like I think people really loved like the Smash games have always been like there's side modes and like different types of play modes. You know, there's a lot going on. It's not just like get on ladder and that's, you know, or train. You know, it's more than just those two modes.
I still think one of the best fighting game like story modes is Mortal Kombat Deception and going through that world. That
Yeah, I
that
loved,
always always sticks to me.
Mortal Kombat, the one for I guess it would have been like the 360 also. It's just the reboot Mortal Kombat where it
Uh,
went through like 1 and 2 and I think 3's like
oh,
storyline and you switched
yeah.
between like all the characters. That was such a fun, like engaging story mode.
Yeah, a lot of it is like Shaolin Monks, I think had I don't remember if that one had a story mode, but is it Shaolin Monks? I don't remember. I think.
Maybe.
I don't remember the name. I didn't actually play deep into that one. I played a little bit. The Alliance was the other one that apparently has a pretty good story tied to it, but Deception was definitely good. I wasn't always a big fan of the Smash stories though. I don't know. Something
Yeah.
about them just wasn't intriguing to me, those stories. So, but yeah, I had a thought that I was going to bring up to you regarding fighting games. Oh, you had mentioned, hey, it's a long article, get people to like read people's comments on it, or just throw a link into AI and tell it to summarize it for you.
My God.
See what you got to do there. So, all right, are we good on fighting
Yeah, I think
games?
we're good on this one.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I have my font up to like a 69 or something here, or like an 80, to be able to see it right now since I took off my glasses. But this week's inflation deflation is Rambo on the NES. It was developed by Pack and Video, published by, oh my god, dude, Acclaim Entertainment. I am like blind. Signed by Tokita. It was released in May of 1998 and is an action platform. I fought against this
1988.
1988. What did I say?
98.
98. Let's see. I'm gonna blame my eyesight here, dude. I have it to where you can't even zoom in further. Like it's the largest it can be on my screen, and I've got big ass monitors here too. It's an action platform, and I fought against this, but it's a Metroidvania apparently as well. Reception is a 6 out of 10, and please give us the in-depth synopsis of this game.
All right, it's Rambo, the movie, the game.
And that's it. That's all it is. All right, so this game was horrible. I did not have a good time with this one, and I played it. I went through, but it's honestly kind of hilarious, and it's what we had noted last week of it being like, and coincidentally, a very funny game when it's all said and done, just given how bad it is and some of the decision making that you have. So you
Well,
kick off
that's
the
what
game.
led us to it, was that it showed up as being like secretly hilarious or something. I can't remember exactly what the tagline said.
Yeah, so I spent a good like 20, 30 minutes in this screwing around. And so you start up the game and you talk to, I forget his name, but the one of the main military guys is there. And he says, "Hey, you're in prison. We're gonna let you free and out of prison if you fight for us and help out, during like Vietnam. And if you say, no, I'm good, I'm gonna stay in prison," it says, "Well, hey, the game doesn't technically start until you agree to fight for us and that you're not scared of death." You could do that a million times. It's just going to repeat that whole thing. Like, yeah, well, the game doesn't start till you say yes. Kind of dumb. Don't really need that. But okay, cool. You start the game. You end up on like a hangar, essentially. Not even a hangar. It's technically a hangar, but they don't call it a hangar. So you end up in a hangar with a helicopter and fighter jets and things like that. A couple people walking around. And you go up to people, press A, and they don't talk to you. You press B, they don't talk to you. You press select, they don't talk to you. Like, what the heck's going on? So you got to press up, of course, which is what I was trying to do to open doors that didn't open. Uh, Find out you got to go down to the hangar, talk to this other dude who says, "Hey, you need to go get some weapons." So you get your weapons, and then you're informed of your mission. Your mission is to find people who have been captured or lost in the jungle, but you can't engage the enemies. You got to take pictures, but you can't engage them. And you could ask, "Well, don't we want to save them?" No, don't engage the enemy. All right, cool. So you make your way into the jungle, and I'm trying to go over like the dumb, funny parts here, essentially. So you make your way in the jungle, and there's no like real enemies. You're just kind of dodging mosquitoes and snakes for like the first little bit. And then you have leaping tigers that you're dodging at some point. And when you do finally engage with somebody that's the enemy, he says, "Hey, my boat's over here, but you're a stranger, so you can't ride it." So you progress through trying to find your way through the jungle. And you find somebody that announces itself as like the colonel. And so she says, "Hey, I have a boat to the east." You make your way to where the boat was supposed to be with the enemy, and he's like, "You guys are strangers. You can't use the boat." And she says, "We can use the boat. We got money." And he says, "Oh, that's good. Get on and hurry up." Like,
Money is the key to all doors.
the money is the reason. So he's like, like, get on and hurry up so nobody can see you. And so you go into the water, and it opens up to a new scene where you're on a boat, and then you have to jump into the ocean, which there's no drowning. It's just a platform of ocean, and you make your way through to the next scene. And that's about where I cut off. And I know it's like super early in the game. It took me a moment to figure out like what the hell I was actually supposed to do because I was lost. Turns out you go to like markers on the ground and say like south and north, and you press up, and it leads you into the next area.
Such a weird way to like have to screen transition.
It was odd. I figured,
Like
oh, I'll
instead of
just
just walking off the edge of the screen.
Yeah, you walk up the edge of the screen, it starts you right back at the beginning. But it's actually kind of genius in a sense, but there was no map for me to be able to reference. I mean, maybe there was, and I wasn't catching it. Maybe I should have pressed start. I don't know, but I didn't have a map anywhere to be able to tell me where I was going. So I was just kind of guesstimating and going based off of scenery on where I should go. And then there were situations where you transition to the next area and you go ahead and hit south or north and it brings you to a certain area and then it dead ends, but there's no way to go back. So you got to backtrack and there's no purpose to the backtracking other than just the fact that you're backtracking. So wasn't a lot of fun. I didn't have a good time with this one at all. So
Not a great game. Not a
no,
great game.
no, not at all. And I'm sure there's people out there like, oh yeah, it's such a great game, but it's a 6 out of 10. It's 7 out of 10 is normally where you might say it's mediocre. 6 out of 10 is
Yeah.
about teetering on it's not a great game. So
The
all right.
the one cool thing that I did learn about this game and Acclaim is actually from this little blurb that's on the wiki here. I thought this was fun, so I'd share it. So it says in 1998, or in a 1998 interview, Acclaim co-founder Grade Fishback said that Rambo helped bring home to Acclaim the importance of licensing. He said, I remember having a conversation with a buyer for a large chain of retail stores, and we would bring him titles like Wizards and Warriors, and he would say, no, I don't want it. You bring me a name I recognize, and I'll buy your title. So we brought him Rambo, and he put it in his release schedule. And now Rambo was not as good a game as Wizards and Warriors, but that was the way he worked, and we had to deal with that. So, it's one of those things where you think about games, and you think about like I was, raving about earlier, the creatives and the studios and the people who are like working on these things. And then there's always the business guys that are like, what's the IP? You know, do I know that? People will know that. They'll buy that. People know Rambo. So,
Yeah.
this terrible game that we play now that is just not great and did not hold up well. It's what they could shovel out that people would recognize.
When you're right. I mean, when you look at the AI component, absolutely, there's going to be people out there that they just frankly don't care how it was made, right? Or they may just not be aware of how it was made. And I think there's a difference there. There's a difference between people that care and people that don't care. So, like, you could hypothetically be playing a game online and you're like, oh, this is great. And somebody makes you aware of the fact that, hey, that's 100% AI generated. It's just going, all the millions are going directly to that studio. Okay, cool. It's a good game. But, like, does that person decide, I'm going to stop playing because it's AI generated? Or do they say, I don't care? So I think there's a clear difference there in the type of consumer as well. So we will find out long term. Rambo, we found out long term, is not a good game.
Not a good game.
Not a good game at all. All right. So I'm excited about this.
Tell the
March,
people, John.
we talked about it a little bit last week. March is food month. I don't know why, but it just is. So we're going to be playing food
Oh,
related games, right? Not what we're
John,
doing? What?
brass tacks.
Oh, shoot.
You're
There are
getting ahead of
brass tacks.
yourself.
I am getting ahead of myself because I just didn't care for this game. All right, brass tacks, brass tacks. All right, fine.
You
Then
know
we'll
what?
get into food
It's
month.
so bad we're not even going to talk about how much it cost.
01 complete in box peaked at 109.99 in August of 2025. That sucker, man. That sucks for that, dude. Trending down right now. A loose copy right now will run you $10.97. That peaked at $12.99 in February of 2023, and that's also trending down. Okay, food month. Oh, I'm just kidding. It's
What
inflated.
do we rate it?
It's inflated. I think we both agree on that.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
nothing redeeming about this. Not a great box. It's whatever.
Food month. Okay, so priority one on this podcast now. I think Ronald
Food.
McDonald,
I'm hungry.
the Ronald McDonald game sticks out to me on the Genesis. That's what we're playing
Okay,
first.
so we're gonna do food month. We'll start off with Ronald McDonald. Is that McDonald Land?
Yeah, McDonald Land, I think it is. Yeah, we'll play that one.
Genesis?
We've
Okay.
got what is it, Noid? Right? Is that what it
Noid.
is? Yeah, we got
Yeah.
some Noid.
We
That's
wanted to do
Domino's.
Pepsi Man.
Yeah, let's do some Pepsi Man.
Pepsi
How
Man
many?
is great. We haven't played Pepsi Man already?
No. How many weeks of this do we have? We got one, two. No, actually, this is going to count for this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 food months. So or 4 items for food month. This could have been one, but we wanted Rambo.
So we got McDonald's, pizza, soda. What's a food group that we don't have represented? We could do. I think there's like California Raisins game.
Look it up. If there is, we'll play it. Let's see. I'll look it up. All right. California raisins.
Yeah,
game.
the Grape Escape.
What is this on?
Hey, it's a Capcom game.
I wonder if I have this actually. It's on the NES. Oh man, Ryan. No, wait, it says this was canceled. Is there like
Was it?
yeah. Actually, hold on. You might be able to play it though.
Oh,
All
it
right.
was canceled.
Yeah, hold on. Let's see if there's a website we can play it on. You know how it goes, like games that were canceled and you can still play it. Play online.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah. There's a website we could play it on. Yeah. We're good. Some random website. I'll probably get a virus on my computer, but we can play the
Yeah.
California Raisins, The Grape Escape.
So that's the plan. We're gonna march right into your stomach.
So I don't have it, clearly. It says the beta cartridge is sold for $1,000. So I definitely don't have the beta cartridge.
That's like, for a beta of a game, not bad, I want to say. Like,
Was 20 years ago. So it's probably a lot more now.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. Food month is kicking off. And we started out with McDonald Land, or whatever it is. It's going to be good. It's going to be it's going to be horrible, but it's going to be good. All right. Well, until then, this has been episode 383 of the Game Deflators podcast. My name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening and watching.